Hey, this is Kim. Today we're going to do Projector lesson number 4. Today we're going to start to make pattern adjustments. Stay tuned. This is method number 1 and the easiest method. Hi, this is Kim from Dorothy's Daughter. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you could join me today. This is the place to be if you want to take your sewing to the next level. So I just want to say, as always, thank you so much to all of you. You just enrich my life so much when I read things on our Facebook group, which we do have. If you're new to us, please join us. It's Dorothy's Daughter Community on Facebook, and there is a link in the description of this video. We'd love you to join us. So when I read the descriptions and how much you all care about one another, and it's so heartwarming, and I feel like I have friends all over the world. So thank you so much for that. And I also just want to say thank you for subscribing. If you want to support this channel, the number one way you can do that is by hitting that subscribe button. Also by sharing and liking the videos, that helps as well. So thank you so much, and I'm going to get on with our topic today. So we have been doing a series on using the projector for sewing. So this is the first method that I'm going to share with you to adjust your patterns. It is also the method that you would use to convert a tried and true pattern into a projector pattern. So what you need for this, you need your well, I'm assuming that you have already calibrated your projector the long way, okay? So we're working with a calibrated projector. Let's start there. So you need a couple of the cards that in our first video, I shared like a calibration check card. It's not for calibration, it's just for checking it. Print out a couple of those, have those handy. You need your pattern that you have adjusted. So with this method, you're going to adjust your pattern, your muslin or whatever, and you are going to take that then and we are going to digitize that pattern. So this is a pattern. If you were with me from the beginning, you know we did a cadence sew along in the beginning from Love Notions. So this is my cadence pattern that I really hacked up to fit me. So I did a lot of adjustments to it. So I really don't want to do that over again. So I thought I would use this to digitize a tried and true pattern. So we all have those that we have in our stash, patterns that we know work, and we don't want to start from scratch on those. So this is the way that you do that. And also, I think probably if you're only going to adjust a piece or two, I think personally the easiest way, and what I've been doing most of the time, is to just trace that piece. Just put it up on the projector, get yourself some tracing paper. I'll put a link in the description to some very inexpensive tracing paper. Go ahead and trace the pattern onto that tracing paper, and then you can use that tracing paper the way that I'm using this pattern today. Okay? All right, so I'm going to cut to a few photos here. What you're first going to do is you're going to make sure your pattern's nice and flat. Now this guy was all folded up in an envelope, so it's kind of that way again already. But what I did was I used my heat press on a really low setting. I kind of pressed it so it would lay as flat as possible, okay? And then when I laid it out, I did two things. I laid these check cards so that I would have 1-inch checks on the pattern, okay? I laid one at the top, one at the bottom, and I also laid a yardstick along the grain line. So I have like a lot of different ways I can check to see if we're, definitely getting the right size when we go to trace it into the software. Okay, so that is what you need. So I'm going to share some photos with you now. So here is the photo that I took of the back of the dress, and what I did was I stood up on my stairs looking down. I happen to have dark green carpeting in my living room, so it was very easy. Just make sure that you're level as possible. If you have a camera that has a level on it, that's even better. I did use my phone. I could definitely eyeball that it was level. And I think you can kind of see that if it's not. But just be as level as possible. Take the photo, and then you are going to import that photo then into the software. Okay? Now, a couple things. Make sure, like I said, that your pattern is laying nice and flat. Make sure that you've printed these out at scale, okay, so that you have the 1-inch checks in the right places. Make sure, this is really old, like a really old, this is from my parents' house. This place closed probably 40 years ago, so this is a really old yardstick, but I can still read it. Just make sure you have a yardstick. If you have one that's easier to read than that, that's even better. Anything that you can use so that when you put that into the software, you can make sure that you have a key to how large you need to enlarge that to. So this works on any pattern because you can definitely trace out any of your patterns. You can use your projector to trace a pattern. So you would just, you know, put it on there, put your paper here and trace around the pattern. I didn't think I needed to really show you that because it would be the same as cutting. You would just be using a pencil. Make sure you transfer your markings and everything so that you have that on your image when you're done. Once you do that, and make sure, now if you have a projector, a pattern that's already done for the projector, and let's say all you need to do is an FBA or a full bust adjustment. So really all you need to do then is the front piece because the other pieces are not going to change. So that's why I think this method is really nice and simple and probably the easiest to understand. The other two methods I'm going to show you involve some software knowledge. So I really feel like this might be a better alternative. If you don't want to learn a new software and all that stuff, I would say this is the method for you. And you probably don't have to do all pieces. I am going to be doing my Sabrina Slims, my duets, my resolution, all those pants, because I have those pants perfect. And I'm not going to go do that over again on a projector. So I'm going to do this method for my pants as well. So this is, I think, far and above the method for most people. So that's why I'm showing you this one first. I also have taken this method. Now you have to remember you have to add a seam allowance if you do this. I took a pair of my mother-in-law's trousers and I laid them out and I traced around them in this same method. But I do need to add then the seam allowance onto that because obviously they were sewn. So, you know, you can also use that to make a pattern from, you know, something that you have. This is a simple, easy method. Once you do it a time or two, it should be second nature to you. It's not hard. The one thing, though, that makes it a lot easier, and I'm going to highly suggest that you have a stylus of some kind, an Apple pencil or something that you can use that is a little finer than your finger. Not that it's impossible. You can certainly do it on your computer with a mouse, but if you have an Apple pencil, it really, really is easy. So anyway, that is what I want to show you here. Now I'm going to cut to a video where I'm going to show you what you do once you get it into the software. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new document. The first thing I want to do is I want to change this to inches instead of points. Okay, I want the project to be as tall and as wide as I need it to be. So I'm going to say maybe 36 by 72, let's say, or 48 by 72. Just make sure you have plenty of room for your pieces, whatever pieces that you need to. We're only doing this one piece at this particular time, so I'm going to go ahead and switch it to landscape because it's easier to work with. So I have inches, and I have the width 72 and the height 48, and I have it in landscape mode with inches. Okay, so once I have that in there, I'm going to shrink it down just a little bit so we can see it. I want to go ahead and put a grid on this. So I'm going to go ahead and click grid. I'm going to go ahead and choose standard grid. And then I'm going to go ahead and make it standard and make this 1-inch spaces. All right. Now I'm going to turn my grid on, and I have my 1-inch grid just like you would have on a pattern. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring in the picture we took of the pattern. So and I'm going to go ahead and make it so that those 4 squares line up, which is pretty close. We're getting there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this here is straight on there, the grain. Now we can see that we are a little bit big. A little big still. All right, see how those line up? And that's on grain. This down here, well, I'm going to show you that because it doesn't line up. And that's why I said make sure you put your squares on the grain, because now that one doesn't line up. You can kind of see that it's going to be pretty good, but just put it on the green line because it'll make your life a lot easier. So once you get that in there and all set, you're going to go ahead and you're going to do a pixel layer. All right. You're going to use a brush about 15 pixels wide. I set it for red just to make it stand out. And make sure you're on the new layer when you start to draw. And that you're not on the eraser. And go ahead and just start drawing all the way around. Keep going all the way around. You want to be really careful that you're accurate. I'm actually going to go erase that and get that a little closer. Okay. Okay, you can go ahead and put your dart lines in there as well, as long as you're there. Go ahead and move it as I need to. Sometimes it's a little easier to go that direction, so if that's just go whatever direction you have to go to make it nice and accurate. Whoop. Just keep on going. Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background. Now here, I'm pretty sure that was folded, and didn't lay flat. So I'll just kind of true this out. Obviously, I'm going to cut a straight line across there. But the same would be if you had your paper pattern laying on there. Keep going. Here's the fold. Make sure you transfer all your markings as you're going.
until you get to the beginning. Now make sure that you have transferred every marking. All right, so I'm going to go right here to this star that I didn't do. All right, pretty much I have everything now. I'm just going to write cadence, dress, front. Okay. And let's go to the layers. Before we turn this one off, let's just make sure that this layer is lining up with the grid. Just go ahead and select that layer and make sure it still lines up, and it does. Okay, so then you're going to turn that one off and you have your pattern. And then you just do each piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just save this pattern as a PDF, just this. And then you can do that with each adjusted piece. All right, so I'm going to go up here and do export. And I'm just going to name this cadence. Cadence front adjusted .pdf. All right, nothing else I need to do there, so I'm just going to click OK, and I'm going to save it on my iPad and move it to where I want later. What I usually would do is save it into the directory where the cadence projector file is, and then just have all the extra pieces that I need that have adjustments. And that's it. All right, I hope that helped. I would then go and do each piece like this.
I hope that helped you guys. I know in the beginning the projector stuff is confusing, but as you go along, it just becomes simpler. And I'm trying very hard to keep this as simple as possible. So I would say for now, this is a great method to use to take care of those pattern adjustments. I am going to show you software ways. It's going to be a few weeks because I am actually going through trying to find the easiest method to teach it to you. So it will be a few weeks before I have those other two methods that I have for you. But this is, I think, for most people, going to be the simplest thing to do. If you're a geek like me, then you might want to hang on and definitely plan to learn the way with the software. This is still all new to me too, you guys. So I am going through, I came up with a method and I have tweaked it until, and I'm kind of still tweaking because I want to teach it to you in a way that's understandable and that anybody can do. But in the meantime, this is how you can handle that. All right, and this may be fine forevermore for most of you, and that, you know, I would be fine if I did it this way, really. The rest, I'm just a geek and I want to do it all digitally because it's cool. But if you don't care about that, this method works great, and, you know, you just have to be super careful to have all the measurements down there so that you have a bunch of stuff to refer to. When you lay your yardstick on the grain, try to butt up the calibration check cards so that they're sort of on the grain too, so that you don't end up with squares that are like this. So try to make sure that those are going with the grain as well. All right, that is really all there is to it. So when I trace a pattern with the projector, or if I draft one myself, this is medical tracing paper. You can get a box of 12 for, I think, I'm going to say it's about $20. I'll put the amount down here that is currently when I edit this video, but it's very inexpensive. I bought a box of 12. I'm still on the first one. You can share it with a friend, you know, so definitely you can use this to trace your patterns and then make your adjustments and then redigitize them. So I hope you guys are getting more and more proficient and comfortable with your projectors. It truly is going to be the way of the future, and more designers are coming on board with that as well. So have a fantastic day, and I will see you in chat tomorrow. this is Saturday. You may not see this until after the chat's over, but I will be there tomorrow. And anyway, have a fantastic day and happy sewing.